As-salaam wa-alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Year 6 of the 17 Verses podcast. I'm your host, Maher Haq. In this podcast, we take a small selection from the Quran every day and recite it to you in plain English, so you can get a small slice of God's Word while you go about your day. By averaging 17 verses per day, we're able to break the Quran down into manageable pieces and finish it in 1 year. If you enjoy the podcast, please help spread the word. Tell your friends and family, subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you get your podcasts, and write us a review. Show notes and a text episode can be found at 17verses.com. That's the numbers 17verses.com. Today's selection is from Surah 70, ãrij, or the Ways of Ascent, verses 1 through 18. This selection discusses the length of the Day of Judgment and how the sinners will so wish they could save themselves that they would sell out their own kin, but to no avail. Tafseer for the selection concerns the analysis of sin in verses 17 and 18. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. A questioner asked you about the punishment which is bound to happen. It is for the disbelievers, and there is none to avert it. It will come from Allah, the owner of the Ways of Ascent. The angels and the Spirit ascend to Him in a day the measure of which is 50,000 years. Therefore, endure with graceful patience. They see the Day of Judgment to be far off, but we see it quite near. On that day, the sky will become like molten brass, and the mountains like tufts of wool. Even a close friend will not ask of his friend, though they will see each other. To save himself from the punishment of that day, the culprit or disbeliever will wish to give his children, his wife, his brother, his relatives who gave him shelter, and all that is in the earth in ransom to save himself. But by no means. It will be the fire of hell, eager to pluck out his skull. It will be calling all those who try to escape and turn their back, who collected wealth and withheld it. Ameen. Now concerning the analysis of sin in verses 17 and 18. Quote, the analysis of sin is given in 4 master strokes, of which the first 2 refer to the will or psychology of the sinner, and the last 2 refer to the use he makes of the good things of this life. 1. Sin begins with turning your back to the right, refusing to face it squarely, running away from it, whether from cowardice or indifference. 2. But conscience in the sense of right will try to prevent the flight. The grace of Allah will meet the winner at all corners and try to reclaim him. The hardened sinner will deliberately turn away his face from it, insult it, and reject it. 3. The result of this psychology will be that he will abandon himself to greed, to the collection of riches, and the acquisition of material advantages to which he is not entitled. This may involve hypocrisy, fraud, and crime. 4. Having acquired the material advantages, the next step will be to keep others out of them, to prevent hoarded wealth from fructifying by circulation, to conceal it out of envy or spite. This is the spiritual rake's progress. Unquote. Thank you. This concludes today's episode of the 17 Verses podcast. I hope that this selection helps increase your understanding of the Holy Quran just a little bit. If you like the podcast, you can subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher and write us a review. Or you can grab the RSS feed and put it into your own podcast app. The show notes, including a text version of this episode, can be found by going to 17verses.com. That's the numbers 17verses.com. Thank you, and be well.